Is it tight enough? Welcome to a special episode of The Bachelor. Welcome to a special episode of The Talk. Van Jones School of Healing and Interracial Hugging. Stacey Dash Academy of the Dramatic Arts. She did not mean that. Cancel culture's gone too far. White America, I know what you might be thinking. A black man. But let me tell you, it is my sworn duty as a black man to make sure that you are as comfortable as possible and that I am your voice through this entire interview. You might be afraid of people who look different from you, and that is understandable. That's why it's your responsibility to get to know people who are different from you, and for the people who are different from you to try to be less scary. This never happened. I want some of your brownsugar. I want some of your brownsugar.
Hello beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. This is Brownsugar Commentary and I'm your girl, Kayla. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe for more videos. Alright, let's get right into it. So, last night was the very explosive, very interesting, and crazy Bachelor finale. And boy, do I have thoughts that I am so ready to share with y'all. So at first, I wasn't really going to make a Bachelor video because I felt like nothing really interesting or worth talking about was going on. But these last couple of episodes, especially this off-screen drama going on, I definitely had to come back and tell y'all all the tea, okay? First of all, I was never a big Bachelor watcher growing up. It came out, I think the first season came out in 2002. My mother would frequently watch here and there, and maybe I might watch with her. But to say that I sat down and watched a season from start to finish was never my thing. I grew up watching other types of romantic reality TV, like a Flavor of Love, Real Chance of Love, I Love New York, For the Love of Ray J. Like, those are more my speed because the Bachelor franchise always felt like it was, well, it's not, it felt like it's what it is. It's catering to white people. Like, it's not for us, okay? If you ever seen a Bachelor or Bachelorette season, you see about 2 to 3 black folks, and you know that by week 2 or 3, they out of here. Like, that's just what it is. The first Bachelor season I really tuned into was Rachel Lindsay's season. Rachel Lindsay was the first black bachelorette a couple of years ago. And then I watched Tayshia's season. Tayshia was the most recent bachelorette back in late last year, and she's Afro-Latina. And now we have Matt, and Matt is biracial, and we will get into him in just a second. And so when The Bachelor first, or ABC I guess, first announced Matt being chosen as the first black bachelor, I was like, really? Because I knew that, you know, it was performative, it was pandering. They knew that in 25 seasons they've never had a black bachelor, and they had no problems with it. And, you know, it was part of that weird time last summer when all, you know, the Black Lives Matter protests and riots and, you know, racial tensions being so high that everyone was doing that performative crap that was just getting on my nerves. You know, it was the white voice actors finally realizing, hey, maybe I shouldn't be playing this black character. Or, like I said, people doing stupid stuff, like companies doing silly stuff like changing the Aunt Jemima label. Like, just stupid performative stuff that, why does it take black people dying at the hands of police for y'all to finally realize, hey, this ain't it? Like, it's ridiculous. It's interesting because Matt was not a previous contestant on The Bachelorette, or he has never been on a Bachelor season. And usually when the person gets chosen to be a bachelor or a bachelorette, they were on a previous season, and they're usually like a fan favorite or something like that. But he was never one of them. But so basically, listen to this article that I found on why Matt was chosen. So they said, James was initially cast as a contestant on Claire Crowley's Bachelorette season, and ABC claims that they instantly knew James to be the perfect fit for their leading man. So ABC poached him for Crowley's lineup and declared him to be the new Bachelor before Crowley's season began filming. Also, the reason why Matt gets chosen is because of Rachel. Rachel, I guess, has been like an integral part of adding more diversity and inclusion in the Bachelor franchise ever since her season, which is super dope. But basically, Rachel Lindsay, who starred as the Bachelorette but has claimed she'll leave the franchise if calls to increase the diversity and treatment of cast members and production alike aren't met, a petition called A Campaign for Anti-Racism on The Bachelor had been circulating prior to the announcement. One of the demands of the petition was that the next Bachelor be a black man. ABC responded quickly by casting James, a newcomer to the franchise. So, one, it was pandering, and two, it's because of the good sis Rachel. And I mean, ain't it like a black woman to always advocate for other black people and put black people on? Like, shout out to Rachel though, like for real. But Matt is a very interesting man. I mean, like I said, he was never on a previous season, so we really had no idea who he was, what he's gonna be like. But I remember looking to his social media, and that's how I found out he was biracial, because like I said, everyone kept, or they kept advertising first black bachelor, first black bachelor. And I was like, okay, let's see what he's talking about, right? I went to his TikTok, his Instagram, all that type of stuff. And that seems that he was not raised by, or been around a lot of black people, because his father was virtually absent from his upbringing. So he didn't really got to be around his aunties and them and his cousins and things like that. And that was very evident, especially with his interactions with the black female contestants on the show. Like, it was just, even like, I remember, I think it was Chelsea, and Chelsea has a low haircut, and I remember her and Matt having this conversation on her talking about why she cut her hair essentially, and she was talking about perms, and Matt looked like he ain't never heard what a perm was, or even like what that's like, the relationship about black women and his hair. And it made me like think, like, have you never dated a black woman before? Like, Matt is from, I think it's North Carolina, so like I said, it's not and he was a football like guy, so it's not shocking if he does not date black women, because usually men in the South, and especially men who play sports, they are not really into the black women like that. And that's cool. Like, love who you want to love, I guess. But I definitely think that was part of the reason why they chose Matt. No shade, no tea. I definitely think that they chose him because they knew that he was a palatable black man. Like, I felt like, one, him being biracial, him, seeming to have virtually no black friends, and like I said, him seeming to not have any, previous involvement with black women. I feel like they were like, yup, that's the one. Like, that's just what it is. I just think that's, because I'm like, with Matt's not particularly handsome to me. Like, I mean, he got the broad shoulders and the height, but in terms of personality and looks, it ain't for me. Now, that brother though, what's his story? But him, it's just like, I'm not feeling it. But like I said, I can definitely see why they would have chosen him and why they thought he'd be a good fit, because honestly speaking, I don't really think ABC is interested in pairing, two black people together or seeing that happen, because like I said, even in this season, the selection of monoracial black women was very sparse. In terms of, especially other seasons, like I said, like, it's just not a thing that they do. And with Matt, and I'm not saying that he's pressured to choose a black woman, because he is biracial. So if he chose a biracial woman, that would be completely fine as well. But like I said, there's a difference between just you forming a connection with someone who's not the same race as you, compared to a person who is actively seeking someone that is not the same race as them. Like, because I told you about preferences, and when it comes to preferences, especially when it comes to people, black people and biracial, like, if you have a preference for people that are not the same race as you, that's anti-black. Like, I don't care. You're not gonna justify it to me. If the first thing you pay attention to in a woman is her race, and that's what you find attractive about them, that's weird. Okay? And so with Matt made it a point on episode 1 to tell us, hey, I'm not choosing, or the way that he made it seem was, hey, y'all, I'm not choosing no black woman. You can just get that out of here. It's not going to happen. Because he was all like, oh, like, I don't want to feel pressure to choose a particular type of person. And I'm like, We wasn't expecting you to do that, child. We don't care. We know you don't date black women, so it's all good over here. But like I said, Matt compared to someone like Rachel, where Rachel did choose a white Colombian man, but Rachel, like, you can tell that Rachel has dated black men in the past, and was open to choosing a black man. Where, like I said, when you see someone like Matt, it was very evident from day one that his goal was not choose a black woman. Like, Rachel did not give that stupid disclaimer, and she was the first black bachelorette. So why did you feel the need to tell us that extra nonsense? And they had the nerve to get mad when people were saying that you were going to choose a white woman. And you did. Like, because you're predictable. Most of the monoracial black women was out of there by like week 3-4. So it is what it is about Matt. I don't even understand. Matt didn't even seem like he was serious about finding a fiance. I don't understand how people come on this show time and time again, and then when it gets to like the bottom two, or the final two, I should say, that they always act mad shook when they have to propose. Don't want to feel pressured to get engaged. Don't come on a show like this. Like, has he never seen a season of The Bachelor ever? Like, what? But he gave me very, like, immature, like I said, I don't even understand what these women were really falling in love with, because he really was not giving them anything. He really wasn't really being vulnerable or emotional. The only time he was really emotional was, like, this last episode or so, and also the episode with his father, but none of the women were really around for that, so they didn't really get to see that side of him. He wasn't really giving them anything. Like I said, Matt, to me, doesn't really have a very charming or interesting personality, so I'm just like, what the hell is this? But Matt, yeah, like, in the end, he really played the good sis Michelle, to choose the racist. Like, what? And he was pulling all the stunts just to sit there and choose Rachel in the end, and then they were dating, and then photos circulated of Miss Rachel, not to be confused with Rachel Lindsay, this is another Rachel, and photos circulated of her being in college at some Antebellum party, which is like a Civil War, slavery era type thing, like where people dressed up like people during that time, and she took pictures with her little sorority sisters, and the photos circulated, and she got called out on it, and then, Matt broke up with her because of it, allegedly. But this is where my problem is with ABC, because this is what it is. It is not just enough for you to have a person of color as your bachelor or bachelorette. You need to take the extra precaution with these people to vet out these contestants. People, regular everyday people like myself, should not be able to go scroll through their social media and see some racist stuff. Like, if they were racist and they were on a all-white season, like, that's completely fine. I got nothing to do with me, because being racist and you have a white partner, that doesn't mean much. But the fact that she had the potential to go through all the way, and she did, and y'all, like, didn't find that out, like, you didn't go do a social media check and see, like, hey, this don't look too right. Like, why is it that everyday people were able to find this? Like, are y'all kidding me? So moving forward, y'all need to do a better job. If y'all make all this damn money, you guys didn't do like a social media like check, like, that is ridiculous. Like, no, like, that this should have never slept like past your radar. And then you got Chris Harrison's goofy behind sitting there trying to defend her, like, and saying, oh, it was so long ago. It was 2018, my love. She was at the very least 21 years old. Like, you are old enough to know that that was racist and that wasn't it. She didn't care. If she didn't get caught, she wouldn't have cared. She probably still gonna go to another Antebellum party as we speak. Like, come on now. Like, and one other thing, like, white people. When other white people are getting in trouble for racism, we do not care about your opinion. Like, we don't. I don't care. Like, because it would be like Chris Harrison, like, we don't care about you trying to vet that Rachel's a good person. Obviously, she wouldn't be racist to you because you are white. Like, every time controversy like that surrounding it, there's always that one white person that's trying to vet the other white person, like, that's gonna make it better, or do that whole educate me. No, I'm not doing that. Absolutely not. You could go pick up a book. You could go Google, watch a podcast. Just do something. That's not Black people's jobs to educate you on nothing and talk about, oh, everyone's so woke nowadays. That was 2018. It was 2018 a long time ago. I know 2020 was long, but it wasn't that long, child. And now Chris Harrison finna be out of a job. You hate to see it. You should have sat there and ate your food, Chris. You should have sat there and ate your damn food. But yeah, like this finale was really just annoying. Because they had the usual, Michelle came and talked, and her and Matt got to talk, and then they brought out Rachel, and Rachel was really not trying to own up to really anything. And then they brought out this guy, I think it's Emmanuel. I don't remember his last name, but I know that him and Yvonne Orji used to date. But I've been seeing him a lot in terms of media. I saw a very interesting video with him, so I don't even know how I really feel about him, to be honest. But he has a whole brand basically trying to educate white people about racism and making them be accountable. And it's just like, why are you doing that? Like, that's what you choose to spend your time doing? I mean, get it how you live, but no, this ain't it, honey. But he was there talking about, what have you been doing? What steps have you been taking? She's like, well, I could tell you I did this. I could tell you, but honestly, it's going to show in my actions and la, 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 la. Damn lie. She don't care. She don't care. Because even with her, when she was talking, she was like, oh, she didn't even see potentially how this could be a problem with Matt. Later on, it was just one of those things. She's not sorry that it happened or that she participated in it. She's just sorry she got caught. That girl racist. I don't care. She tried to say that she wasn't. Even that Emmanuel guy tells us, oh, you're not racist. You're just racially insensitive. She racist. She is racist. You don't know that girl. She is racist. The end of story. And then with Matt was being quite performative, to be honest. I honestly believe that if she didn't get caught, he just found this out on his own merit, he would have stayed with her. And honestly, he's probably gonna get back with her in a couple weeks. Get it time, because he was over here letting her hold his hand and rub his back. I'll be like, get your hands off of me, racist, please. But he was there talking about, oh, I never thought that this was gonna happen. I didn't think that race was gonna come up. And she didn't understand my Blackness. You expected a white woman to understand your Blackness, sir? Are you serious? You thought that you was going to date a non-Black person and race was never going to be a topic of conversation? Do you know where you live? Do you know what type of climate we're in? You better be making sure, if you're going to date out of your race, that you are having those conversations before you even choose to be in a serious relationship with that person. You need to be asking them the questions hey, what's your stance on politics and human rights? Are you a Blue Lives Matter person? What do you know what I mean? What literature have you read? Are you aware of these certain things? Because I'm not going to be sitting there educating you and spoon feeding you not to be racist. I'm not doing it. Period. Date out your race all you want, but you have to be, realistic, getting them out to make sure that they aren't racist or have a racist past. Because them be the same ones who have children with these women, and then they end up treating these kids horrible, and then they grow up, hating their Blackness. So it's just are you kidding me? You're sitting there considering marriage with this woman and you thought that race was never going to be a thing? That's why when it comes to Matt, I definitely think that he thought he was going to sleep his way through racism. I don't know what your mother told you, and that's kind of one of the drawbacks of not having a Black parent that's active in your household, at least a Black parent that is socially aware to tell them hey, this is what you need to be looking out for, because his mother probably kind of grew him up to be colorblind in a sense. So, which is I also think that mama sabotaged him and putting seeds of doubt in him, which is why he came out talking about oh, I don't want to get engaged at the end of all this. Nigga, this is not to find a girlfriend. That's not what this is called. The other big thing that really pissed me off about Matt's season was this whole thing about this discourse surrounding his father. They were putting his mother up on this great big pedestal. Every episode, my father abandoned me, my father's a deadbeat, my father's this and that. And then they had that episode right before the finale where he has a sit down with the dad, and the dad was clearly not trying to take accountability for his absence in Matt's childhood. And I feel like this was very like exploitive of the producers to do this, because I know this was producers. They're synonymous with making people talk about very uncomfortable things that should be done in the privacy of their own like home or in a therapist chair. Like I don't understand why we need to see this conversation, but I feel like it helped to paint this narrative of like, oh, like black dads suck. Like that just would have felt like to me, like there already is this narrative out there that black fathers are absent from their kids' lives and they're no good. And of course, for many black people, that's their reality, but that is not the majority. And the media has been pushing it for far too long. And like I said, that's why I feel like with Matt, they like saw that story and they really tried to bring it home. And even with Matt, he just kept talking about it. And I honestly think that that is why he exclusively dates white women, because I think he does have resentment towards his blackness that he's claiming so proudly now. But I definitely think he has some resentment towards his father, and that in turn makes him have a lot of anti-black, feelings about black women or even biracial women. Like, that's just what I think. I don't think that Matt is really interested in talking about race and things like that. He doesn't give me that. I think he has very questionable politics, especially the way that he was moving in this season. And it does not shock me that he chose the racist, because he was going to choose a white woman. And like I said, a lot of these white women this season even felt like they were fetishizing Matt. It was weird. Even that Victoria girl, she was a known Trump supporter, and y'all had her on this show for how many weeks? Like, what is going like ABC? Just go back to just having like white people, please. I don't want this no more. I don't want it. Like honestly, because it's like if y'all just gonna do this, it's just it doesn't serve a purpose. A lot of people are like, oh, let's have a dark skinned girl. Like nope, because they're gonna do the same thing. She's gonna have a whole room full of racists. Nothing but racists. And also a lot of Bachelor Nation, that's what they call the fan base, are racist. That's just, I'm going to call it a thing. A lot of them are racist. And I'm not in the mood to be going back and forth on Twitter with some racist Karens on Beyonce's internet. Absolutely not. Like, just save it. Or they're going to do them like they're going to do Paige. Or they doing Paige right now on Lifetime. I'm not interested. Just leave it alone. Like, Bachelor, you tried, but you failed. And that's what you do when you pander. And Matt, do freaking better. Like, please, you embarrassed me, child, but you did the most Let's Have a Toast all season, and you had no business being on this show. You should have went on Claire's season and had a little Kiki and Gwanga Sadon, because you did not need to be on this show. You were not ready for marriage. You have a lot of healing to do, a lot of self-work to do, and you really need to get real with yourself, because you are, perceived by the general public as a black man. Because despite him being biracial, if you didn't know that he had a white mother, people would probably just think he's black. Like, and that could really, I don't know. Like, I just think with Matt, just do better. Like, do better. This was just embarrassing and a complete waste of time. Like, you did all that to choose the racist, and then you gonna get back with her. You gonna get back with her, and it's cool. That's fine. You know, like I said, I think he just did it because he knew that it broke up with her, because he knew it was not gonna be a good look to people. But he's not interested in being a part of the black community. He don't care about what we think, and that's cool. That's your business. Like I said, he's biracial. He has his right. If he identifies more with his white side, that is completely cool with me. We gotta stop forcing black or biracial people who are mixed with black to choose a side. Like, stop doing that, because y'all do it all the time. Like, it is completely okay for a biracial person to identify as biracial. If they want to identify as black, that's cool. I'm not gonna tell you what you identify as, because race is a social construct. But at the same time, if you're going to identify as black, you have a lot of work to do in terms of your racial politics, and you need to be more, self-aware and more like conscious when you're dating. Like, that should be a no-brainer. But like I said, I don't feel like all this like I'm a young black man act he was doing yesterday is just a bunch of BS. Like I said, he wouldn't have cared if this never came out. He just knows it's not a good look, and at the end of the day, he's not interested in, you know, being in community with people that look like me. That's just what it is. Let's call a thing a thing. Let's call a thing a thing. But y'all let me know about what y'all felt about this season of The Bachelor. What do you think about Mr. Matt James and the controversy? Let me know all your thoughts. Do you think that they should choose a darker skinned black bachelorette moving forward, or another black bachelor? Let me know all the good stuff in the comments, and I'll definitely see y'all in my next video. Peace out, y'all.